All right, Emmy lovers, the nominations for the 2014 Emmys are coming up in less than a week, so we're all getting really excited here at Gold Derby. We want to take a moment and focus on the guest actors and the guest actresses that could be nominated next week because we feel like they sometimes get shortchanged. They are at the Creative Arts Emmys, they're not at the regular ones. So we just want to, I'm here with Rob Licuria from Australia, and we just want to talk about our predictions for all of the guest categories. So, Rob, let's go ahead and start with drama guest actress. Who do you have? What are your top six in that category?
All right. Well, this is a pretty stacked category actually, and I have the presumptive favourite Allison Janney from Masters of Sex, Jane Fonda, legend, living legend. She'll return, I think, as will Dame Diana Rigg from Game of Thrones. Carrie Preston will return. She's a two-time nominee. She won last year. And then I have two sleepers, as I like to call them. The first one being Emmy winner Lisa Kudrow for her great turn in Scandal. She did a really good job in that. And for the last one, I literally just went down the list and thought, okay, I'm going to pick someone who's going to surprise us. And I think it could be Patricia Arquette from Boardwalk Empire. So I've got her in there as well. She's an Emmy winner as well, and they do love to nominate stars and Emmy winners in this category. So that's what I've got for now. What about you?
I've been, brushing up on all of my Emmy shows so I could be caught up. But one show I haven't watched yet is Scandal. Are you able to tell me what does Lisa Kudrow do in that, but without spoiling me at all? Like, what is her character on that?
Well, she plays she's kind of like a Sarah Palin. So she plays a crazy, outspoken politician, controversial, I would say. And she's running for office. I can't remember the state now, but she's running for political office, and she hires Olivia Pope and Associates as her PR, whatever you want to call it, to help with that campaign. And so she has a few episodes where she has TV interviews, and she's just a real bitch. She's really strong. She's kind of funny as well. She's got that Lisa Kudrow vibe. And I was just spellbound by her. She made the show better when she was on it. So I really think she's a spoiler for this category, definitely.
And, Dan Bucatinsky won last year, so the Emmy voters are watching the show, especially the guest actors and actresses. So I may put her in. But yeah, my list, I think we know who's going to win. And I have the same person that you do. It's Allison Janney from Masters of Sex. She was so good on that show, and she didn't just appear once or twice. She was in 5 episodes, and I guess she's going to be in next season. Chris Beecham already saw the premiere, and he said she was great in season 2 as well. So I have her winning. And then second place, I have Carrie Preston from The Good Wife. She won last year, and she's a huge Gold Derby fan, so we're rooting for her again. I don't know if she can take down Allison Janney, but last year she did take down Jane Fonda, which I thought was surprising.
Yeah, miracle.
But I have Jane Fonda actually coming back in 3rd place. I have Diana Rigg for Game of Thrones in 4th place. My 5th place is going to another Masters of Sex guest actress, and that's Julianne Nicholson. She's very, very understated, but she's so good. And I don't know if she could win with an episode submission, especially against Allison Janney, but for her, I think the nomination would be the win. And then 6th place, I have Shirley Maclaine, because it's Shirley Maclaine from Downton Abbey.
Yeah, I think that's a smart list. I think it's a pretty smart list. The only thing that I like to say in these categories is that we all think about who are the obvious choices, and they always seem to throw in people that we would never have seen coming. And Julianne Nicholson could be someone in that category. So, I'm looking. This is why I love the guest categories. I love these more than pretty much anything else, because this is where you get shows that are never represented anywhere else usually turn up here, and you get actors sometimes who are really either big celebrities who you would just love to see on the stage, or really good character actors who aren't going to get their own show, who, like Carrie Preston, for instance, even though she's all over the place now. She's so big now because of her role on The Good Wife, and it was so great to see her awarded last year. So I'm totally down with that Julianne Nicholson pick. I think that's a really smart choice. I can probably see that happening.
And I was wondering, were there any other really good Wife guest actresses this year? Because the past 2 years, that show has won in this category. You know, Carrie last year and the year before was Martha Plimpton. Is there anyone maybe that we're not talking? Let me look at the master list here.
It's difficult because I don't know if they've submitted a lot of people that they could have, but I really think it's either her or nobody at the moment. And
Yeah, I think you're right.
and because of I mean, they have a lot of great guests on that show, especially the people who play judges. But as you know, but I reckon it's she's pretty much in the running again.
So now I'm looking at, you know, all of the predictions for Gold Derby. This is the editors, the experts, the users, everybody combined. They also think Allison Janney will win. They have Jane Fonda in second, Diana Rigg in third, Carrie Preston in fourth, Lisa Kudrow in fifth. So I'm thinking of actually moving her into my predictions. And then sixth is an interesting one. Margo Martindale. She won for Justified a few years ago. She was nominated last year for the Americans. Do you think she could get in? Is Gold Derby right?
Oh yeah, look, I have been umming and ahhing about that one because she made it last year, and you know, she's really good on that show, and she's become a big name now after her groundbreaking role on Justified. But I just had to draw the line somewhere, and although the Americans, I'm hoping, and I'm pretty sure, will do better this time as compared to its really disappointing showing in its first season, I just thought, you know, I'm not going to include her because it just, to me, seems a little too obvious, and it's not a very good argument when you're Emmy, you know, predicting. But, you know, the same goes for Marcia Gay Harden, who is in seventh spot on our combined list, and you know, that's a really good pick as well. But I'm just not sure if the newsroom is still on their radar, and that's so. Margo Martindale, she's definitely a spoiler, and Marcia Gay Harden is certainly a possibility.
Right. I'm just remembering her arc on the newsroom. It was really good. It was kind of like a David E. Kelly type arc. She had the long speeches. She had, you know, it wasn't a courtroom scene, but it was a deposition, I guess, of sorts. So, you know, if she's nominated, she could have a good chance of winning. But let's be honest, Allison Janney.
She's winning that. Yeah.
All right. So should we move on to the guest act? Okay. So what are your top six there?
Okay, well, this is another one where there's a few pretty obvious answers. So at the moment, I have Robert Morse in first place, although that's interchangeable with Beau Bridges. Obviously, Beau Bridges is from Masters of Sex as well. It looks like Masters of Sex are going to wipe these two categories out because he had, along with Allison Janney, obviously on the show, had such a great arc, and he's an Emmy favorite. I mean, they nominate him all the time. And so this is an absolute lock. If he's not nominated, we will all be terribly, terribly surprised and shocked. So I have Beau Bridges and Robert Morse in 1 and 2, and I interchange them constantly. I have Robert Morse in at the moment because I just rewatched the finale of Mad Men because I loved it so much. And I loved him in it, especially that dance number at the end. So anyway, I have those two. I have Joe Morton. I'm hoping that he will now be nominated because he really adds a lot to Scandal, and he's been around for a very long time, and so he's kind of a veteran, and I think that he'll be rewarded justly. I have Dan Bucatinsky coming back, last year's winner, surprise winner. And then in my last two slots, I have Pedro Pascal from Game of Thrones. It was very smart of them to submit him and only him, so I think if Game of Thrones people want to see someone from that show in this category, he will be it, obviously. And he was great as Oberyn Martell on the show. Really, really, really made a big impact. And finally, I just put Eddie Izzard from Hannibal in slot 6 because I just really, really believe that, first of all, Emmy voters love him. They nominate him all the time as well. And secondly, you know, Hannibal is a great show. It didn't do very well in its first season, obviously, at the Emmys, but it's been talked up a lot, and if it's going to land anywhere, I think it will land here. And so I'm just taking a punt and thinking that he might actually make it.
What about Nathan Lane from The Good Wife?
Yeah, I just bumped him out, actually. He's been nominated a few times. I just find that, especially last season, he just didn't seem to make as much of an impact as he did in seasons past. And so I just thought that he might get bumped. You know, it's really hard. I don't think there's a science to the guest acting categories. They really just like to throw us singers, and I think he might actually miss out this time. What have you got?
Okay, so we have 5 of the 6 that are the same. A little different order. I do have Beau Bridges winning, and I have Robert Morse in second.
Hmm.
The fact that a Mad Men person has never ever won, an actor or an actress,
Yeah.
that's holding me back from predicting him. But I do have him in second because of his story arc there. I have Nathan Lane in third. I have Bucatinsky in fourth, Pedro Pascal in fifth, and then Joe Morton in sixth. One thing we should mention is that Michael J. Fox was not submitted for The Good Wife, which is
Right.
absolutely crazy. He's been nominated, 3 times for this role? And this year in
Correct.
particular, his role was even bigger and more flashy and more important. So do you think that
Yeah.
was an oversight, or what happened there? Why wasn't he submitted?
It must have been an oversight. But, I mean, CBS and The Good Wife producers, they're not stupid. So I just can't imagine, because, I mean, they wouldn't have just left him off, out of a goodwill towards all the other competitors. They don't seem to want to do that, and he doesn't want to do that. He's been nominated a few times. Perhaps it could have been that he was just done and dusted with being nominated in this category a few times and thought that was enough. But we're really just going to be theorizing. There's no real rhyme or reason to him not being there. He was the most, um, he was the guest star on that show that had the most material, and he actually became, towards the end of the season, as you very well know, a really integral kind of antagonist. And it doesn't make sense for him not to be here. But
What if he's tired of losing? He goes there every year. He And every year he probably thinks this is my year. I think I was predicting him last year, actually.
yeah, right.
What if he's just like, I don't want to lose anymore. Just take my name out of the running.
Just take it out. Yeah, mate. It's certainly possible. I mean, it's not without precedent for other very big name people. So, but it's kind of a good thing that he's not here, actually, because even though it maybe hurts The Good Wife and its total nominations tally, which we hope will be high because it's been such a resurgent year for them, it does open up the category to other people. And just looking at the list
That's true.
of it combined, you've got people like last year's nominee Harry Hamlin, who finally, after so many years, broke through as an Emmy nominee for a really great role in Mad Men. He could certainly return. He had some good stuff to do. And Paul Giamatti on Downton Abbey, that's a really interesting role there for someone you would not expect to see on a masterpiece theatre British production, and yet there he is and did a great job on that show. What do you think about Paul Giamatti? Have you got any clues as to whether he might break through?
Yeah, I'm looking at the Gold Derby predictions, the combined ones. He's actually in fifth place there, so
Right.
he does have a shot. Harry Hamlin is down in sixth place. I'm wondering if Paul Giamatti's role maybe is just, it's not flashy enough, it's not memorable enough.
Yeah.
But going back to the Gold Derby combined predictions, everyone kind of thinks Beau Bridges will win. They think Robert Morse is in second, Bucatinsky in third, Nathan Lane in fourth, and then Giamatti and Hamlin. And then seventh is Pedro Pascal from Game of Thrones. I hope he actually wins. That was the
Me too.
greatest performance.
Oh, totally. I mean, that scene, where he's with the mountain, that fight scene was, not only was it one of the best directed scenes I've seen all season, but he really knocked it out of the park. I'm really hoping that he'll make it through. He's not a very well-known actor, and so this would be really good for his career. And I must say as well, just for anyone who's trying to think about who might win this category, although Beau Bridges seems like the obvious answer, Dan Bucatinsky won last year in a big surprise. We all watched those episodes thoroughly and thought he did okay comparatively, but we didn't think it was such a showy and knockout performance that he had it in the bag. Well, I think from this past season of Scandal, he was so good. So he's really a dark horse to repeat as a winner. I just want to put that out there just in case it happens, and I can always go back to this video and say that I picked it. But,
and I know Tom O'Neill's screaming at us right now saying, I was predicting him last year. Yes,
he was.
Tom,
You
were right. We were wrong.
Tom.
So a couple others that people are predicting that we are not predicting, shame on us, is Dylan Baker for The Good Wife, John Benjamin Hickey from The Good Wife, and then there's, I hope I'm pronouncing this right, Hamish Linklater from The Newsroom.
Yeah.
Those are possible contenders there.
They're possibilities. I'd love to see any of them make it through, actually. They're all really worthy. But again, it looks like the top 2 or 3 in this category kind of have it in the bag, and anyone else who makes it in will just be happy to turn up to the Creative Arts Emmys. So, okay, so that's drama.
Yeah.
Shall we move on to the funny guests?
Let's scroll down.
Let's just
and by the way,
them.
while I'm finding those, I just wanted to say that, sometimes they do give these guest Emmys to people you've never heard of, like Michael Emerson when he went for The Practice.
Yep.
Who was
Right.
this? Who's Michael Emerson?
Who's Michael? And who was Pruitt Taylor Vince when he won as well?
Right.
You do get them. You get these out of left field winners who are just so good, just so critically acclaimed that the voters could not possibly ignore them. And so it's not always about the big name celebrity.
And that's what we love.
Totally love that. And that's why these categories mean so much to me, along with the writing and directing, because I like to see the series that I have seen throughout the season that I want to see rewarded actually be fated as the best on television. And sometimes the lead acting and supporting acting categories, they're always about the bigger names and it's about the episode selection and so forth. Writing, directing, and guest acting is sometimes just about these really great shows that don't really seem to, sometimes they don't get a lot of other nominations in the high-profile categories. So the guest nominations are always so exciting for us nerds. So how about we start with comedy guest actor? What do you want to run through your top 6?
I'm not confident on these at all. I'll just preface it by saying that. But I have Jimmy Fallon for Saturday Night Live at number 1. He just won. It was 2 years ago, right? Yeah, 2 years ago. He hosted the Christmas episode 2 years ago. It was fantastic. This year they brought him back, and it was the Christmas episode again, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And so, if he wins once, why wouldn't he win twice for doing the same thing? Second place, I have Bob Newhart, who won last year. So potentially we could have last year's winner battle 2 years ago's winner.
Right.
And then James Earl Jones for Big Bang Theory, Louis C.K. for Saturday Night Live. In 5th place, I have Damon Wayans Jr. for New Girl. That could be a little out there, but he was really, really funny on that show. And this is a comedy category. Let's give it to someone that's funny and makes us laugh.
That's right.
And then 6th place, I have Emmy favorite Brad Garrett for The Crazy Ones.
Yeah, that's a good list.
Oh, yeah.
They're kind of similar. I think Jimmy Fallon is such a knockout. He has the material. Like when he hosts an episode of Saturday Night Live, I mean, it's a real event, and they really give him as much material as possible. He's in like the whole thing. So I have him at number 1 as well. If he's nominated, I can't imagine him losing.
And it's usually a reunion too. They usually bring
others
back.
They bring other people. It's a real TV event, and it's just such a great episode. So I have him in number 1. I have James Earl Jones from The Big Bang Theory in number 2. First, I must admit, I just really love him. So I just, whenever he's around, I want to predict him. But that's not really good enough. So let me just say he's actually really good in this too, and he's a big name. I think voters will be really tempted to mark his name off. Then I have Emmy favorite. That's an understatement for Brad Garrett. Yeah. Not only is he an Emmy favorite, but he really, really is very, very good in The Crazy Ones. And so whenever he turned up in that show, he elevated it even further, I found. Right. And so I think he's pretty much in the bag. I've got him in number 3. And then my last 3 are guys that probably no one else are predicting, but I have a feeling about. So Tony Hale, last year he won for Veep. He was in About a Boy, and I know that show is not really on the radar, but if it happens to be, especially for him, I think he could make it in. He was very good on that. I've got Gary Cole from Veep. Not necessarily the funniest guy on Veep, but I've just thought he was great on that show, and he has been around for a very long time. He's been on every show on TV. He never seems to get nominated, and I'm hoping that this might change for him. So you can tell, by the way, before I get to my 6th one, that I am taking some chances on the guests, and I'm trying to I'm trying to predict the left field choices, and so I'm hoping those 2. And then in 6th place, I've decided to go with Pablo Schreiber from Orange Is the New Black, because if yeah, if the voters actually dig that show as much as we think they might, especially given how well it's done with all the precursor critics prizes, who better than Publish Robert? I mean, he is one of the funny. I mean, he brings some funny. He's the villain.
One of the few, yes.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
he's the villain, but with that porn stash and just that is a crazy, crazy character, and he's a breakout from that show. And I have a feeling he could be a dark horse candidate as a nominee.
Yeah. He's so over the top on that show. He's even better in season 2.
Oh, right, which I haven't seen yet. I refuse to watch that until I've gotten through this season, so I'm still binging stuff and trying to catch up. But I hear he's really, really good in season 2, so that's awesome. Right. That means I'm not predicting Bob Newhart. I'm not predicting Louis C.K. I'm not predicting Carl Reiner, and neither are you, from 2.5 Men. Mm-hmm. There's a few others, like Andy Samberg. He was in I think that was the season finale of Saturday Night Live. He was great. Certainly a possibility, as is Stephen Merchant from Modern Family. I think a few of us are predicting him. So this is a really interesting category.
Stephen Merchant's in 6th place.
Right.
And I'll just mention the first 6 from Gold Derby here. Jimmy Fallon, Bob Newhart. I think you're wrong, by the way. I think Bob Newhart will be nominated. I think you should change it right now.
Okay.
I don't want you to lose the predictions points. Louis C.K. in 3rd, James Earl Jones in 4th, Brad Garrett in 5th, Stephen Merchant in 6th.
What do you think about the Stephen Merchant pick? Because I must admit, I haven't actually seen that episode, and so I'm still catching up on Modern Family. I've seen bits and pieces here and there. I mean, there's only so much you can watch, right? And I'll binge that eventually. But was he any good? Do you think that's a possibility?
He was good. It was a very well received episode as well. So that it kind of has me worried I don't have him in there. But the thing is, he was playing, he was playing himself. He wasn't playing a character. He wasn't playing someone memorable. He was just playing Stephen Merchant, basically. Not the same name. He was like the hotel concierge or something. I don't really remember. But it was a really well-received episode. So if Emmy voters loved it the way fans did, they could definitely give him one. And you know what? Nathan Lane, he wasn't submitted here, was he? For Modern Family, because
he's in the list. He's in the list.
Okay, good. For some reason, I thought he was missing.
Yeah, I mean, I love Pepper. Who doesn't love Pepper? That's a great character.
Especially the finale for the wedding two-parter.
Yeah.
It could be submitted as one.
Good point. Yeah.
And then I think one other person we haven't mentioned that we should is Andrew Rannells from Girls.
I was just going to say Andrew Rannells. He's great in Girls. I mean, that's certainly a possibility. Going against him is obviously the steam is starting to come out of Girls. It was hotter than it is now. And I don't know if they're really that desperate to nominate extra people from the show, but you never know. And I also would say the opposite to that is Veep, which I think is on the trajectory, is going up. And if they're going to increase the nominations, someone like Christopher Maloney could maybe sneak in. He's very good on that too, very funny. So this category is wide open. Although we say Jimmy Fallon has the episode to kill everybody off, and we've got those 2 legends, 3 legends really, because you've got Carl Reiner and you've got James Earl Jones and Bob Newhart. This is open. This could be anybody.
Aren't you glad Justin Timberlake's not in this list this year?
I am. I'm totally glad, because he would totally be nominated again. And to be honest, I like Justin Timberlake. I think he's a great performer, and I always look forward to his episodes. Although the last one was a bit disappointing, so I'm glad he's not here this time. We can open it up to other people.
I do want to mention, I mentioned a little bit, Damon Wayans Jr. as the funniest person on New Girl. The only problem is that New Girl is probably not going to get much of any nominations this year. It came on strong. It got Zooey Deschanel and it got Max Greenfield in season 1. Season 2, they were snubbed. It didn't get Jake Johnson in. And this year, probably will do even worse. So if they watched New Girl, if voters watched New Girl, I have a feeling Damon Wayans Jr. will get in. If not, I'm an idiot for predicting it.
Listen, mate, you've got to take some chances here. If I see anyone who's not predicting people who are slightly left field in these categories, I usually like to tell them very clearly, these are not the most predictable categories. You are allowed to take chances here, because they might actually pay off. So I think we should start.
I like your Pablo Schreiber one.
Yeah, I like that. I'm really hoping for that one. I love Porn Star. She's great. So that being said, if we move over to the guest actresses, I'll just straight up say that I am not afraid or ashamed to say that Uzo Aduba is my #1 pick in that category, and I really believe she's going to walk away with the hardware. I'm just going to put that out there now. Crazy Eyes was the best thing about that show, and she certainly has the episode reel that she can submit to win. So #1 for me is Uzo Aduba. #2, Tina Fey. It just seems like an obvious choice. #3, Ellen Burstyn for Louis. You know, she's Ellen Burstyn. She gets nominated for everything. I didn't really necessarily think she was that funny and over the top and particularly worthy on merit in this category, but I'm going to put her in there anyway. I've got Octavia Spencer for Mom. I really, really enjoyed her on that show, and I think voters will agree. Melissa McCarthy in #5, and Joan Cusack will move over from drama into the comedy race and be nominated for probably, a 4th time for this show. What about you?
I have a very, very similar. I have all 6 as you do. Different order, but for some reason I have Uzo in 4th place. What was I thinking? I mean, I think I made that prediction before she won a Critics' Choice TV Awards 2 weeks ago. So you're absolutely right. I need to change that and pick her to win.
Don't you just think it just feels obvious that she's going to be the breakout star of the Emmys?
Yes, I totally agree.
Yeah.
And she was one of the highlights on that show. I wish her role was a little funnier. Although in season 1, I'm trying to think back in season 1. I saw it a year ago now. Was she funny or was she dramatic? Because in season 2, she's dramatic.
Is she? Okay, I didn't know that. But in season 1, she was just pretty much spending the whole time chasing, the lead character, chasing her, and she pees on the floor. Right. I mean, she does. Right. I think she's just knockout hilarious. I found her to be, crazy hilarious. Like, she really was Crazy Eyes, and she was fantastic. So, yeah, I think she brought the funny. Anyway,
okay, yeah. So after this chat, I will move her to 1st place, and then 2nd, I have Ellen Burstyn for Louis because she's Ellen Burstyn, and she just won last year. She was a shock win last year. Everyone thought that Sarah Paulson would win for American Horror Story Asylum, and Ellen Burstyn ends up winning for Political Animals. Tina Fey I have next, and then I think Joan Cusack is as close to a slam dunk nomination as there is. Because she was nominated for the first 3 years of Shameless, but her role was always funny. It was always a comedic role. Right. And now that it's actually in comedy, there's no way they're going to snub her now, right? It just
no, they can't. And she could maybe even win. It's a possibility for her. I mean, she's been nominated so many times. Yeah, you're right.
And then I have Jane Krakowski from Modern Family. She was really great on that show. She had most of her scenes were with Sofia Vergara. They had like a cat fight thing going on. And Fantastic. Then in my last place, I just put her in here after I watched. I binge watched Nurse Jackie.
Good.
Julie White.
Julie White, good on you.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? That's great. I've got to change. I'm going to have to change this. Julie White, she is so good in Nurse Jackie.
She was good.
She's in my personal nominations that we all do as Emmy lovers and awards nerds. I'm nominating her for my own personal awards because I just think she was so good in Nurse Jackie. That would be great. I'd love to see that happen. I'm not sure. I mean, she's a well-known person, actress, so it's a possibility.
And if you think about it, it kind of makes sense. I mean, Edie Falco won for the show, playing a dramatic role. Merritt Wever won for the show, playing, kind of comedy, kind of drama. And Julie White is pretty much all drama. So just because they're in comedy categories doesn't mean they have to be funny ladies.
That's right.
And her role, for people that don't watch Nurse Jackie, she plays Jackie's sponsor, basically. And she helps Jackie through some problems.
She sure does. And without spoiling anything, in the episode where we last see her, she has a great send-off to Jackie when she says something to her, which is just, it made me laugh out loud. So that's a possibility. We won't say what that was. But, yeah.
Did we mention Laverne Cox, Orange is the New Black?
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, Laverne Cox. Forgot about her. So that's a possibility too.
Right. I think at the TV Awards or the Critics' Choice, she was nominated as supporting actress, but here she's going guest. And she was on the cover of Time magazine a couple weeks ago.
I know. That's incredible. That's incredible. I think that show is going to really explode at the Emmys. I just have this feeling, and I'm not alone here. A lot of us do. So, let's see what happens. And she could just ride that train. A lot of them could just break through, like Kate Mulgrew and Taylor Schilling, and the show itself, and the writers and the directors. I think it's going to be all over it. So yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I can't wait. But I do think you're right that Uzo has this building momentum that we always like to talk about at Gold Derby. It's getting bigger and bigger. And Netflix was so smart to premiere season 2 right before Emmy voting started.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
do we also want to? I mean, we've already here at Gold Derby. We talked about all of our picks already. But you are in Australia. You're on a different time zone, so you did not get your picks. Do you want to give just like your top winners in each of the main categories?
Oh, okay. I'll quickly run run through them, and we'll see if anything comes out as being ridiculous. So I've got
Okay.
Modern Family beating Orange is the New Black and White. I've got Julia Louis-Dreyfus. I just think that, to me, that's just going to happen again. Jim Parsons, again, although that category does give me some grief. It's very hard for me to try to work out the comedy actors. And in that one, I'm also thinking that William H. Macy might break through, as well as Emmy Rossum on the female side.
Right.
So we might actually see this really great strategy by John Wells and the producers of the show to move it over to comedy, even though it was the most dramatic season ever. Yeah, I mean, great. It'd be like, well done, you did it. So.
Yeah, and I mean, William, I'm watching it right now. I'm a little more than halfway through. It is, I think it's the best season they've ever had.
Well, yeah, that's what people are. I mean, Ralph, our good friend Ralph Gavan, he keeps telling us it's the best show on TV. So I'm going to take his word for it. I'm going to actually binge watch the season without having seen the last 2. I'm just going to do it because if it's as good as people are saying it, then yeah, and it should be there. The Emmys should recognize that, and hopefully this little move over will help them.
Right.
Comedy supporting actress Allison Janney, that seems to be a shoo-in. Although Kate Mulgrew is a spoiler there for me. I don't know how much they're going to like Mom. I just don't know whether that's going to be as big as we think, but it may.
I think so. I mean, if Melissa McCarthy, she got nominated, she won for the first season of Mike and Molly, and I think most people would agree that Mom is a better show than Mike and Molly is.
Agreed. Yeah.
They're both from Chuck Lorre.
Yeah.
He also does Big Bang Theory, which has won John Cryer 2 Emmys, and he does Big Bang. Yeah. I'm sorry, 2.5 Men, which won John Cryer 2, and he does Big Bang, which won Jim Parsons 3. So the Emmy voters are watching these kind of shows, and this is actually a really, really good show. It's
good. It's really funny. That's why Anna Faris could make it through, and Mimi Kennedy, and they've got a few names out there that might actually make it through, which is great. It is a funny show. It's good. It's certainly worthwhile. So that's why I've got her there. It's not a stretch to say that she's going to be nominated, and I think she'll win. Ty Burrell is my default choice for comedy supporting actor, although I don't think any of the Modern Family people will probably ever win again. The show is starting to run out of steam, but I know I'm in the minority there, and they had a pretty good season, especially the wedding episode and so forth. So yeah, I don't know. Tony Howell's in my second spot, and Andre Braugher is in my third spot. That's a difficult category for me to kind of lock down, to be honest.
It is, because we don't know if they've fallen off of the Modern Family acting bandwagon.
That's right. We just don't know, do we? It doesn't seem likely. There's nothing else that is going to just so obviously take the mantle. So I just think that it's just going to continue kind of driving through the Emmys until it finally runs out of gas. Over on the drama side, it just seems like it would be stupid not to say Breaking Bad. Everyone else is. I know last year you were the guy who was saying Breaking Bad is going to win, and I was one of the guys saying you're crazy.
Right.
So I'm just going to put this out there in public and say you were right, I was wrong, and I'm now just on the Breaking Bad train. That's it. There's no way that is not going to win. However, if there's any chance that the voters are bored of that and it's such old news, then I really have fingers and toes crossed for The Good Wife. I know it's a stretch, but I certainly have it in my second spot at the moment, and I think it's interchangeable. Game of Thrones, True Detective, House of Cards, and I have The Americans in there as well. It's a very, very difficult category to predict. So you're obviously in the Breaking Bad train, right? I mean, this is no way.
I will mention that last year, like a week before the Emmys, I switched to Homeland because, it was strategic. It's because I did so bad at the creative arts that I said, I personally I wanted Breaking Bad to win, and I thought if I predict it, it won't win because I'm such a bad guesser. So I predicted Homeland, hoping that it would make Breaking Bad win, and it ended up being correct.
Because it obviously has anything to do with one thing has so much to do with the other. But yeah,
of course,
I totally get that. It's just like when I go and watch a football game, and I'm like, gee, every time I go to the stadium to watch it, my team loses, so I'm not going to go so that they will win, and they do win. So obviously, there's a connection there. Okay, so drama actress, I have Robin Wright in number 1, Juliana Margulies in 2, and Tatiana Maslany, Ralph Gavan's girlfriend, in 6th. So we'll see what happens there. I don't know. What do you? We us Gold Derby nuts. We all email each other all the time, don't we? And we invariably start talking about Tatiana. And some of us think it's going to happen. Some of us think it won't happen. And I've forgotten where you are because you seem to be going back and forth.
Yeah, I was not predicting her for a while, and then I realized there's no way Elizabeth Moss is going to get in for this shortened season. She didn't have that big of an impact, so I took her out and I put Tatiana in as a replacement. So now, currently, I have her in there. So we'll see if
we'll see.
That works. Yeah.
I hope that bodes well for her. That's a bit of a worry, but
personally, I mean, if Juliana were to win, because I don't see Good Wife winning drama series, but if she were to win actress, that would be their way of saying, we realize this was a great season. Here's a trophy for you guys to take home.
That's right. And we're really sorry for snubbing you last year. Yeah.
Yeah, they have to give this show something. Maybe and even like a writing win for the fan would not be out of the question.
Well, that would be great. They should have submitted Hitting the Fan. They didn't, which was crazy. So no, that's. I mean, they're really shooting themselves in the foot. That would have been the nomination for them to win. That's okay. Well, speaking of that, let's move over to supporting actor in the drama. I know we don't have all day, and I just want to say, everyone likes to make jokes about how much I think Josh Charles is awesome on that show, but he really was this time, and I really believe that he will be nominated. And I have a feeling that he could even win. I'm not predicting him. I have Aaron Paul and Peter Dinklage up number 1 and number 2, but I have Josh Charles in 3rd, and that's not. I don't think that is a stretch to say that he has a possibility. He was fantastic on that show. Absolutely fantastic.
Last year it would have been a stretch. This year you're right on the money. Yeah.
Totally. So that's drama supporting actor. And drama supporting actress, Anna Gunn just seems like an absolute shoe-in for Ozymandias or really anything else, any other episode. She was so good in that. So I have her predicted. And my left field choice is Critics' Choice winner Bellamy Young, who I had the pleasure to interview a few weeks ago, and I know how she's a real breakthrough from this past season, and she was the best thing on Scandal, and the critics agreed, and so she's in our 8th spot at Gold Derby, so she's totally in the running for a nomination. And if she's nominated, although Anna Gunn would most likely be the winner, she would really definitely take it to her because she has a fantastic episode to submit. So people need to watch out for Bellamy Young. That's where I'm at.
In that category, I think everybody is underestimating Joanne Prager.
Yeah, you're right. Totally right.
I
don't even have her predicted.
Yeah, she got snubbed last year, but her storyline in season 4 was really, really good. And I know that they have such a big cast on that show that it's hard to focus on one person, but she had a storyline from beginning to end, and it was really emotional, really dramatic, and she couldn't get nominated. But where do you fall with the McConaughey versus Cranston debate? Where are you on that?
Oh yeah, I don't think we talked about that particular category, but yeah, that's a tough one, hey, because I have Cranston there, but it wouldn't. Oh yeah, I completely missed that one. It wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility to have McConaughey repeat his Oscar win with an Emmy. I mean, that would just be. They would love to see that on the stage and in the headlines the following day. So Matthew McConaughey and Bryan Cranston are in number 1 and number 2 for me. I have Cranston winning at the moment because really he can submit 3 or 4 of those episodes and there was nothing better than him really on that show. But McConaughey, that's really become a pop culture event, just watching his performance on True Detective. And which reminds me, I feel bad for Woody Harrelson. He was great on that show, and he's not getting anything. I've got him predicted in number 4 because I just feel that he was just as good as McConaughey. But what about you? I mean, it's hard. Do you? Okay.
Yeah, I have Harrelson in 6. I want him to get a nomination.
Totally.
Sure. I just love that. McConaughey is the reigning Oscar champ, and then we have Bryan
Yeah.
Cranston, the reigning Tony champ.
Oh,
And
right. Yeah.
those two guys, so it's going to be the Tony winner versus the Oscar winner. The battle will be decided at the Emmys. Who is the better actor? We're going to find out in
Yeah.
September. No, it's August this year. We're going to find out in August.
We're going to find out in August, and then whoever wins needs to do some kind of like record so they can then win a Grammy, and that would just be so much fun. But yeah, I never thought about that. That's a really, really good spin on that category. I think that's probably the most exciting category of the night, just in terms of the stakes. I mean, really, that's the big one. That's the big one. But anyway.
Usually I feel like we have the most discussions and the most battles about the actresses, the lead actresses and supporting actresses. I think this year it's the complete opposite. I think Best Actor in a Drama is one of the most exciting races we've seen in a long time.
You've seen in a long time, I know. And there's so many implications because McConaughey and Cranston seem to have it locked up, but really it's so deep. The bench is really deep because I would just love to see Jon Hamm nominated again. He was so good on Mad Men once again, and he's never won, which is an absolute Emmy crime. And it won't happen, I know, but he really deserves it. I'm hoping next year Matthew Weiner will give him something so good that the Emmy voters will just not be able to resist him. Michael Sheen, you know, Kevin Spacey, of course. There's that category is just ridiculous.
Matthew Rhys has a great episode.
Yeah, Matthew Rhys, man. So good. As far as I'm concerned, Mads Mikkelsen, Hugh Dancy, I know I'm becoming a bit of a Hannibal fanboy, but really they are great on that show as well. So you could have 10 people, 12 people in the category and it would still be, you'd still have people left out.
The big question mark, I think, is James Spader. Are they going to give him a nomination for a network show in this day and age?
Right. Exactly. It's not 2002 anymore. It's like we've moved on, I think. But that's a really good question. We'll see what happens.
Awesome. Well, thanks everybody for watching, and stay tuned on Emmy nomination day. We're going to have, I think, another video just wrapping up all of the nominations. All right. Bye, Rob.
See you, mate.